مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have given us this Jumatul Mubarak in the 1445 year of Hijrah, in the month of Muharram al-Haram. We have started a new year. And these are the verses of the Quran and the Hadith of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. I'll try to be brief and try to catch up a lot of things. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam made the Hajjatul Wida in the 10th year of migration to Madinatul Munawwara. And that was the one Hajj he made after coming to Medina. After the khutbah, he made multiple places, different lectures and different short khutbahs he gave all along the time. In one of this khutbah, he mentioned about that this world have come where it was started as Allah created the heavens and the earth. And then the count of months with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is 12. Among them four are sacred and forbidden. 3 are in continuation. Dhul Qa'dah, the 11th. Dhul Hajjah, the 12th. And Muharram, the first month of Islamic calendar. They are in continuation to each other. And Rajab, which is between Jamadi or Shaban, and that is the 7th month of Islamic calendar. And then he made dua for every time when there is a new moon is sighted for the month or the year. Oh Allah, enter this upon us with the peace and the blessing. And then from the agreement and rada of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the merciful, and protect us from the shaitan. In this reference, the ayat of the Quran, At-Tawbah, the hadith and the Quran matches in here. Allah counted there's a 12 in the count with Allah, the number of months is 12. Among them the 4 are sacred. Allah created heavens and earth, and among them 4 are sacred. And this is the established deen with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And do not لا تظلموا فيهن أنفسكم. Do not do any wrong to yourself in these months. So these are the sacred months one have to observe as a Muslim. And then fight with the mushrikeen as the way they will fight with you. And be aware, indeed Allah is with those who are conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. With this reference, Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, when he arrived on the 18th of Dhul Hajjah in the place which is called Ghadir Khum, he made one of the very important, bigger sermon where Sahaba, those who were supposed to go to south and west and east, were gone, but those who were going to north to the Medina, and those who were going to the Syria and Iraq and the Egypt, these people were supposed to spread there. And that's where he gathered the people and he made the khutbah. He said, كأني قد دعيت فأجبت إني قد تركت فيكم الثقلين إحدهما أكبر من الآخر كتاب الله وعترتي فانظروا كيف تخلفوني فيهما فإنما لن يفترق حتى يراد على الحوض. ثم قال إن الله عز وجل مولاي وأنا مولى كل مؤمن. ثم أخذ بيد علي رضي الله عنه فقال من كنت مولاه فهذا ولي اللهم وال من والاه وعاد من عاده وذكر حديث بطولة. And then he said إن تعلمون إني أولى بالمؤمنين من أنفسهم 3 مرات قالوا نعم فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من كنت مولاه فعلي مولاه. And this hadith goes further on. In this hadith, Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam said, soon I'll be called by the messenger of Allah, the Malakul Maut will be coming and I will be responding to him. So he was giving information that I may not live long after this. And then after that he says, be mindful, do not divide after me and what you do behind me. And I'm leaving with you the 2 most important heavy things. One is heavier than the other. The book of Allah, which is Quran, and he gave a big motivational talk about how the Quran should be implemented in the life of a believer. In Hajjatul Wida in Mina, he said, تَرَكْتُ فِيكُمُ الثَّقَلَيْنِ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ وَالسُّنَّةِ. And Ghadir Khum, he said, كِتَابَ اللَّهِ وَعِتْرَةِ. So these 3 things become very important. The Quran is common in both of them. That is the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he commanded, hold the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as firm, as strongly as you can. And then after that he says, I am closer to every believer than their own self. And أَوْلَى بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ مِنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ. So Rasulullah is closer to the believer. Allah is closer to every creation because Rasulullah belongs to the believers of this ummah. So that's what he says. And then after that he took the hand of Ali radiallahu anhu and he said, Man kuntu mawlahu fahaza aliyu mawla. Whoever I am mawla, the guardian, the protection. Not that he was saying that he is going to be next Khalifa. That is the misinterpretation by some Muslim of the time, because Khalifa cannot be in the same time. If Ali was a Khalifa with the Rasulullah being alive, that is null and void. this was something important, that there are a group of Muslims who divided on that point, that this was the announcement of the Khilafah of Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. He was honored and respected, that the people should love him. And the incidences when Ali radiallahu ta'ala was sent to Yemen to collect the khums and send Khalid bin Walid radiallahu anhu with few other Sahaba to meet Rasulullah in Mecca, and they made some objection about Ali managed the khums. They did not know, and he knew about it, and they made a complaint to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he didn't like the way they complained, so he stood up and made that Ali had more right of keeping the khums, because Ali knew how to manage the khums. Time is limited, we cannot go in detail. Sometime other come in and we'll talk about it. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made the announcement, if I am a Mawla, I am a helper, a friend or guardian or anybody, Ali is also saying to me, after me, do not divide amongst yourself. And he made a special request and command that do not let go of my itra, my family, Ahl Bayt. Why? Sahaba would have vanished after 100 years. But Ahl Bayt, the children of Rasulullah, will continue. And this is one of the things for us to treat respectfully to each other and the companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. After that, we know that Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam in the Rabiul Awwal, in the 11th year of Hijrah, after returning back from the Hajj, he passed away. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he was the most respected and honored and believed to be the eldest and respected among the Ummah. Ummah agreed upon his Khilafah, and he ruled Muslim Ummah for 2.5 years. And then he took a natural death, and he passed away in Jamad al-Akhir month, around 6th or 7th of Jamad al-Akhir. And he appointed Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu to be the next Khalifa, who ruled Muslim Ummah with such a justice. And there are so many things to talk about the way he managed it, because Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu did not have an easy Khilafah. Right away, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away, and then there's some rebel against Islam, and he took care of that thing. People refused to give zakat. He established that zakat. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu lead the first ummah to the Hajj. So anybody who has a question about the status of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Quran about Abu Bakr. He was one of the two in the Ghar Sur, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this ayah about Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So this is the status of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. After then, Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu took over the Khilafah, and he ruled with such a justice that it is no parallel to that in the history of humanity. The way he established his justice and his service. And when he was about to be died he was about 26th of Zulhijjah in the 23rd year of Hijrah. When he was leading the Salah, Abu Lulu, the person who was a Persian carpenter, he had a complaint about his master. There are a couple of other references, but this is one of the things which has been agreed about many scholars, that he came to Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu and he said, my master is taking a little too much charge from me for doing the service. So he asked him, how much does he charge? He said, 2 dirham. He said, that's not really excessive charges he's taking from you. And he didn't like it. So he walked out of the masjid and stood and stayed for the plan where he would wanted to stab Umar radiallahu anhu. Another reference says that the prince of Persia, when they had lost the battle, and he had prepared him to go and assassinate the Khalifa, Amir al-Mu'minin Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu. So when he was leading the Salah, he was hiding, and he came out and stabbed him multiple times on his stomach with the point that he got fall down. And Muslims were in the prayer so deeply that they didn't even realize that the Imam has already collapsed. And then they suddenly some realized that there's been too long of a sajda, and they got up and they realized Umar radiallahu anhu was in the wound and bleeding. At that time, his first question was, did the person who attempted on me, was he a believer or not? And they said, no, he was a Persian, Zoroastrian person. And that's when he said, Alhamdulillah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised him, and there are 3 places where Umar radiallahu ta'ala, there are so many things to talk about. Just to be brief, certain rules which we are living today were because of the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala agreed with the thoughts of Umar radiallahu anhu. What are those points? He says, Allah honored me in 3 places in particular. One of them is when Muslim opened Mecca, Fatih Mecca, he asked, Ya Rasulullah, what is the command about Maqam Ibrahim? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the revelation. وَاتَّخَذُوا مِن مَقَامِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ مُصَلًّى. Take place of Ibrahim, where he stood up as the rock print on his foot. He says that is the place to take for the salah. So when we do Umrah, we do tawaf when we do 2 rakah salah, and that is the dua of Ibrahim, Umar radiallahu anhu. The second was about the hijab, because many people would visit Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he did not, like Umar radiallahu anhu, was not comfortable that many people are not believers, they do not have respect and honor for the wives of Rasulullah, who are the mother of the faithful. So he said, Ya Rasulullah, would you command that your wives should not come in front of those men who are coming outside the family? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the surah about hijab of the women. The third is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed, Ya ayyuhan nabi, قل لأزواجك وبناتك ونساء المؤمنين يدنين عليهن من جلابيبهن ذلك أدنى أن يعرفن فلا يؤذين وكان الله غفورا رحيما. Surah Al-Ahzab, that was revealed that, O Nabi, command to your wives and the daughters and the Muslim women. Some women say the hijab was only for the wife of Rasulullah. That is not true. This is for all the Muslim women. They have to wear hijab. It's the command of Allah, not Rasulullah or not the husband or the father or the brother. So if a woman in Islam wear hijab, that is the direct command from the Quran for them. It is the modesty, and they should not show themselves, because women are naturally attractive for men, except those who are mentally sick, who attract to the same gender, which is a sickness. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded that they should take their clothing modestly dressed, so they will not expose their body in the way that man would be attractive. So, and then the third place in the Battle of Badr, when 70 Quraysh, Meccan came to become the prisoner, Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam consulted with the companion, because that was the first time Muslims had captured prisoners of war. And this is what the command was. He asked different companion. Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala no, by nature was a soft person, and he said, Ya Rasulullah, take fidya. They are our brothers and family and their relatives. They are Quraysh. So why don't we take some money, fidya, the what you call compensation or the payment of funds, and then let them go. Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam liked this idea, because he was also did not want to hurt people and kill people. But Umar radiallahu anhu was a little strong in his opinion. Even though he came Muslim in 6th year of prophethood, Rasulullah was already making da'wah for 6 years. He didn't come to Islam right away. He was a traditional believer of the traditions of the family. But then when Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam once was reading Surah Al-Haqqa, and he was in the haram listening to him, it softened his heart. He thought, this man cannot be a magician, because people used to say he is a magician. Na'uzubillah min dhalik. Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. And then when he was once trying to, or there's many narrations, one of the very common narration is that one day he decided that he wanted to take care of Rasulullah, he wanted to kill him. So he took his sword out and he went on his way to kill Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and somebody found him in the road, and he says, where are you going, Umar? He goes, today I'm going to go and settle this issue. This man has caused a lot of division among the Arabs, and I just want to finish him up. So the man says, before you go Rasulullah hurting him, why don't you go look at your sister? And when he visited his sister, and he found that her and her husband both were reading Surah Taha, and he heard the words. And when they heard Umar is on the door, they close it and they stop reading. And he entered their home and he started beating them without any listening. And he beat them to the point where he became exhausted. And then his sister said, Umar, no matter what you do to us, we are not going to leave our faith. You can kill us if you want. At that time, he just struck himself. He said, why? What is that it is about this faith? So he asked them to read it. They said, no, you will not be able to attend it. There are a lot of details. And finally, when he heard Surah Taha, and then he said, take me to Muhammad Rasulullah. And he declared the shahadat. So this is how he became Muslim. And when he became Muslim, he declared his Islam openly. Many companions were hiding, and accordingly, it was 40 men had become Muslim and 11 women have taken embrace Islam in these 6 years. How hard it is for Rasulullah to make the da'wah for the people. And it is, just imagine, 6 years, day and night. And then entire life, he kept doing, inviting people to Islam. So after that, when he became Muslim, he became very strong Muslim. And when they were making a hijrah, people would leave, migrate secretly in the darkness of night. Umar, when he about to migrate, he mounted on his horse and took out his sword and said, I am leaving for Medina hijrah, migrating. If anybody wants to make his wife widow, come and stop me. So that's when he left. So this is what the strength of this man's courage. Not that other companions were all coward. This is the hikmah of everybody, but this is how the nature of Umar radiallahu anhu was. So the third place, when everybody suggested to take money and let go of the prisoner of war, Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu said, no, Ya Rasulullah, give relative to each Muslim of their own relative. Give Aqil to Ali, Abbas to Abdullah, and my cousin to me, and I will behead them and they will behead their relative, because they are the enemy of Allah and His Messenger. This Quran was revealed in His support that Allah would not prefer Prophet to take money and let go the enemies of Allah. But because Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam did it, Allah said, we will let go of this. So this is one of the few things. And another very important event which happened is that the matter of alcohol. When the command for alcohol, he used to ask, oh Allah, give us the clear answer about drinking. So the Quran was revealed, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْخَمْرِ وَالْمَيْسِرِ قُلْ فِيهِمَا إِثْمٌ كَبِيرٌ. That was the first command came in. So Rasulullah called and he said, Umar, Allah has revealed this. He made dua again, Allahumma bayna lana fi al-khamri bayanan shifa'a. Oh Allah, give us a clear sign about the intoxicant. Then in Surah Nisa, second revelation came in, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la taqrabu salata wa antum sukara. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked Umar to become and listen. This was a revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was not satisfied and he made the dua, Allahumma bayyan lana fi khamri bayanan shifa. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed in Surah Al-Ma'idah, إنما يريد الشيطان أن يوقع بينكم العداوة والبغضاء في الخمر والميسر ويصدكم عن ذكر الله وعن الصلاة فهل أنتم منتهون. And when this revelation came in, that Shaitan wants to create a dispute and discord among you and want you to drink intoxicant and play the gambling or the game of chances. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remind you about this and remember not to miss your salah. When this one, the revelation came in, at that time the alcohol was forbidden and people start throwing the drums of alcohol, because Arab used to make 5 kinds of alcohol. It's not time to go in detail in that time. But now they were flooded the street of Medina with the drums of drink, because this was their water. This was their so much part of their life. And since then, Muslim, alhamdulillah, have not been a nation who drank alcohol. The important thing is those who drink intoxicant, they become really not in their control of their mind, and they made mistake in many errors. And it is, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, it is al-Khaba'is. Alcohol is the mother of all evil. And there are more details. Time is limited. Some other time we will talk about this intoxicant, and this is a very important topic for the youth in America and all over the world. Every time when we were young, we did not know better. Young in America or anywhere in the world do not know better. And often friends make us do things which we don't want to do. I first time smoked cigarette in my life when I was with my friend. We would have never smoked because the friend challenged me, you cannot smoke. I said, no, I can do it. So we do things with the friends. So be always mindful when somebody asks you to do something and which is known publicly not good for your health, don't do it. There's a fatwa about cigarette smoking, that smoking is makruh, and the other fatwa is that it is haram. Why? Because it can cause some very irreversible illnesses to the human, including cancer. That is why it is now not for human. And whoever sells cigarette have a non-refundable post-tax $8 or $9 packet, and that is non-refundable. You cannot go back, and the law in US is you cannot sue the manufacturer also. They pass the law so that the company is protected. But they provide intoxicant. So this is something, if you go to a doctor and he give you wrong medicine, you will never go back to him and you will sue him. But if you buy a cigarette from your own money and you buy the intoxicant, you cannot sue anybody for that. This is your choice. So we need to be very mindful for the youth that these extra, we all are challenging, in our age, we all want to explore. We have a thought of invincibility in our nature, and that's where we need to be a little bit contained. And the next time, when the leader of the Munafiq, Abdullah bin Ubay bin Salul, when he died, Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam was asked with his son, who was a great Muslim, Abdullah, the son of Abdullah bin Ubay. And he was a very devout believer and he loved Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But he loved for his father too, because he was his father, but he was a Rasul Munafiq. Munafiqeen. So he said, Ya Rasulullah, my father was not a great man, but can you make Salat al-Janazah for him, and can you give your kurta for him, the shirt for him, so he could be buried and saved from the azab al-qabr? Nabi Sallallahu with his loving nature, he agreed and he gave him his shirt, and he was about to stand up to perform the salah. Umar radiallahu ta'ala stood up in front of Rasulullah. He said, Ya Rasulullah, he humbly requested, this is the man who will hate Allah and His Messenger, and he did so much so against Ummah and Muslim. Would you lead salah for his janazah? At that time, Quranic revelation came in, and that Allah says, لا تصلي على أحد منهم مات أبدا ولا تقم على قبره إنهم كفروا بالله ورسوله وماتوا وهم فاسقون. Surah Al-Tawbah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent revelation that do not stand on their qabr, do not make salat al-janazah, do not make a dua of istighfar, the one who was a leader of the munafiq, and those who did not die on Islam. So we can do condolences to the family for the living one, we can comfort, but we should not make dua and maghfirah for them. Where Rasulullah is standing in the qabr, azab qabr doesn't happen. Where a Muslim is in the qabr, azab qabr doesn't happen, because it's the honor Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have given Muslim. And then there are many other things about him that Umar radiallahu ta'ala make his spousal relation with his wife in the month of Ramadan, which was forbidden then. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the revelation, وَأَحْلَلْ لَكُمْ لَيْلَةَ الصِّيَامِ رَفَثُ إِلَىٰ نِسَائِكُمْ هُنَّ لِبَاسٌ لَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ لِبَاسٌ لَهُنَّ. And that gave permission to the Muslims to perform a spousal relation during the month of Ramadan. Otherwise, one was restricted from that. And then also, when Aisha al-Mu'mineen radiallahu anha, when Ubay bin Salul made an accusation upon her character and made the accusation about her, at that time Rasulullah asked different people what is their suggestion, not that he did not know, but he was teaching us how to consult, because he said, I have no information of ill character about my family. That was referring to al-Mu'mineen. Some say Rasulullah did not have ilm al-ghayb. If he was not the Nabi, then what he was? He was a liar. Ilm al-ghayb is a part of the prophethood. So those who say that, tell them shut up and mind your business, because you know more than Nabi, you don't know anything. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the ilm, Allah gave him, it was not his person, Allah gave him. So Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam asked Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, what is your recommendation in this matter? He said, Ya Rasulullah, does a fly sit on your clothes? He said, no. He said, why? He said, it's najis, the common house fly. He said, if Allah would not like to have a najis fly sit on your clothes, will He allow a najis woman to be in your room, in your bed, in your home? So that was a beautiful thing, and that made Rasulullah feel comfort. And at that time, Quran was revealed upon some of the Sahaba, because they were also talking. Mr. was one of them. There's more detail to go about it, but the point is, we should be very mindful when we hear a rumor about a Muslim woman. Character assassination of a Muslim woman is not allowed. Actually, if a husband found a wife in a compromised situation, if he does not have 4 witnesses, he has a choice to leave her or keep her. But he cannot talk about her. This is the Sharia of Islam. It's not a time to discuss detail. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed in Surah An-Nur, وَلَوْلَا إِذَا اسْتَمِعُوا قُلْتُمْ مَا يَكُونَ لَنَا أَن نَتَكَلَّمَ بِهَذَا سُبْحَانَكَ هَذَا بُهْتَانٌ عَظِيمٌ. Why did not the people say this is a great accusation, and they should have said we do not believe in it? So we should not listen to it. Listening to a ghibah is equally part of telling the ghibah, the backbiting, slandering, and gossiping. A person should say, I do not want to listen to something which is not my matter of discussion. And time is only 1 minute I have. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed about the 3rd Khalifa. The Umar ibn Khattab was wounded on 6th of Zulhijjah on 23rd year of Hijrah while in the Salah, and he died on the 1st of Muharram. That was day before yesterday, was the 1st of Muharram. And that the Usman radiallahu ta'ala was given bay'ah in the Muharram, month of Muharram. This is a historical event. And then Surah Al-Fatah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described him, لَقَدْ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِذْ يُبَايِعُونَكَ تَحْتَ الشَّجَرِ فَعَلِمَ مَا فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ فَأَنزَلَتْ سَكِينَةً عَلَيْهِمْ وَأَصَابَهُمْ فَتْحًا قَرِيبًا. Usman radiallahu ta'ala anhu is the one man who is Zunnurain. He married to the 2 daughters of the Prophet. No man in the history have married to the 2 daughters of. That's why he is built 4th heaven. Ali radiallahu ta'ala says the name of Usman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu is Zunnurain. He is the man who made 2-time hijrah. And Rasulullah said after Ibrahim, Usman radiallahu anhu was with the wife, daughter of Rasulullah. Ruqayya radiallahu anha, and he migrated to Habsha. Then he came back and he made migration to Medina. And in Medina, when Ruqayya radiallahu anha passed away, Rasulullah married Kulthum radiallahu anha, his third daughter, to Usman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu. He was one of the first 4 or 5 people who took shahada after Ali, Zaid bin Harisa, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, and Abu Bakr invited Usman to become a Muslim, and he accepted the shahada. He was one of the wealthiest men of his time, and he was the most advising man, and he is the man who advised Islamic calendar to be begin. And Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu's time, that to be begin from the 1st of Muharram. And this is how it was important for us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this Bayt Ridwan, which was made, and no man had this honor, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Rasulullah said, this is the hand of Usman and this is hand of Allah, and he made bay'ah on his hand that we will not go till we take the revenge of Usman. And some say, oh, if Rasulullah had ilm al-ghaib, why did he not know Usman is still alive? It was the allegiance he wanted to take. Dead people bay'ah, nobody takes the bay'ah on the hand of a dead person. So this is some ignorant who are trying to spread that Rasulullah did not have the ilm. They have the ilm that Rasulullah did not have the ilm. How ignorant can the person be? So be mindful of that, because honor of Rasulullah is more than the honor of our iman. So we have to be very mindful and keep our mouth closed and tongue to be shut in the manner of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu, when he was assassinated, he ruled for 11 years, and in his time, Islam was spread from all the way to the Turkish China, to the Azerbaijan and Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan and the Central Asia, and to the North Africa and to the Central and Deep South Africa. And when he was being assassinated, for 40 days, they surrounded his house, and people came and said, we can take care of these 2,000 people who are attacking on you. He said, I do not want a bloodshed on my behalf. Rasulullah promised me, Allah will give you a cloak, and people will try to remove it. So they suggested, why don't you step down from Khilafah? He said, I would rather die than leave what Allah and His Prophet have told me about, and the message Allah has honored me with. So when he passed away, it was a very detailed story. So he was not allowed the water. He was not allowed. Habiba radiallahu anha said, the wife of Rasulullah, if you will not allow me to take the water, I'll remove my hijab. At that time they allowed her to take the water. So this was very tragic history of Islam. But we as a Muslim also know that 60 years, within 50 years after Rasulullah passed away, his grandson and 18 of the children of Ahlul Bayt Rasulullah and 72 people in the Karbala was mercilessly slaughtered and assassinated. The grandson of Rasulullah. They all knew about him. And the people of Kufa invited him, and he brought 3,000, some says 10,000 later they sent him that come and we will take bay'ah on you because we want to be guided, because they didn't want to accept Yazid as their Amir. So this is a very tragic history of Islam, and today we are still finding ourselves lost in finding the direction. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us. Wa akhir da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور انفسنا ومن سيئات اعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد ان لا اله الا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد ان سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله ارسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا بين يدي الساعه من يطع الله ورسوله فقد رشد ومن يعص فانه لا يضر الا نفسه ولا يضر الله شيئا. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا شفيعنا حبيبنا نبينا مولانا محمد عبدك ورسولك. صل على المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات وبارك على سيدنا مولانا محمد وأزواجه وذرياته. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أرحم أمتي بأمتي أبو بكر وأشدهم في أمر الله عمر وأصدقهم حيان عثمان وأقدامهم علي وفاطمة سيدة النساء أهل الجنة والحسن والحسين سيد شباب أهل الجنة وحمزة وسط الله وسط رسوله رضوان الله تعالى عليهم أجمعين. اللهم اغفر للأبات ولده مغفرة ظاهرة وباطنة لا تغادر ذنبا. الله في أصحابي لا تتخذوا من بعد غدا فمن أحبهم فبحبي أحبهم ومن أبغضهم فببغضي أبغضهم ثم الذي قرني ثم الذين يلونهم ثم الذين يلونهم إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون فاذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله تعالى أعلى أولى وجل وأتم وأعظم. أقم الصلاة.